Welcome to September. It's getting close to fall, and we actually have 2 weeks left of our History of the Hymns, and then we're going to be starting our new series, going back to our regular episodes in church history, and I've been working on some great episodes. You're going to be really excited for them. Today we're going to be replaying one of our hymns from our past episode. I hope you really enjoyed the story. We're going to end with my mom and my daughter Emily at the end of this, so I really hope that you love. This was recorded before my mother passed away, so I'm so glad that we can still enjoy her music. Welcome to Church History. I'm your host, Laura Lee Siemens. This is our summer season. I'm telling the stories of our great hymns. This podcast tells the story of the church in chronological order. We started with the story of Jesus, and we have traveled through history into the 1800s. For this summer, we're going to tell the story of the church in chronological order through our great hymns. So, enjoy this summer season. In 1862, on a Sunday morning in a Methodist church in Montreal, Canada, a young boy between the age of 12 or 16 was praying. William Ralph Featherstone gave his life to Jesus and became a Christian. When young William went home, he was so overcome with his love for Jesus, he sat down and did something most young boys don't do. In fact, it was something he would not do again in his lifetime. He wrote a poem. It was a poem, but also a letter to the one he had just given his life to. Inspired from the words from the Bible in Hebrews 11:25, he chose to be mistreated along with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. Young William wrote these words, "My Jesus, I love thee. I know thou art mine. For thee all the pleasures of sin I resign. My gracious Redeemer, my Savior art thou." The poem continued on, and when William was done writing his poem, he decided to send it to his aunt in California. Young William lived out his teen years serving Jesus, and then, around 10 years after writing the poem, William died. History doesn't record how William died, only that he was very young, in his 20s, and his death was sudden and tragic. I can only imagine how his aunt must have felt reading the last 2 stanzas of the poem William had written as a young teen. "I'll love thee in life, I will love thee in death, and praise thee as long as thou lendest me breath, and say when the death dew lies cold on my brow, if ever I loved thee, my Jesus, it's now. In mansions of glory and endless delight, I'll ever adore thee in heaven so bright. I'll sing with the glittering crown on my brow, if ever I loved thee, my Jesus, it's now." William's aunt sent the poem to a composer who added music to it and put it into a hymnal. It went basically unknown until a man named Pastor Gordon rewrote the music to it and added it to a Baptist hymnal. He changed the words in the first verse from pleasure of sin to folly of sin. One day, a young actress visited an evangelistic meeting and heard the gospel. She also heard the words of this song. She gave her life to Christ. The next day, she told her director she could no longer be in his play. She was a Christian now, and the lifestyle of the theater was one she could no longer be part of. The director pleaded with her to please do just one more show, and then he would find a replacement. The actress agreed. As the curtain closed on her final show, she stepped forward. The audience was applauding, and then suddenly she began to sing, "My Jesus, I love thee. I know thou art mine. For thee all the follies of sin I resign." The crowd was silent as she sang through the song. Many moved to tears. The song, "My Jesus, I love thee," has been published in over 900 hymnals. It's been sung at countless altar calls and has moved unknown amounts of people to open their hearts to God. Perhaps because of its simplicity. Perhaps because it was written not by a great composer or a great writer, but by a young boy in honest love for his Jesus, simply writing a love letter to his Savior. Thank you for listening to today's episode on the history of the hymns. We will be returning to our regular church history podcast in September. If you want to hear more podcasts, check out my website, lauraleesiemens.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share these stories with your friends. We'll see you next week.